Hopeful Beginnings is a 501c3 dedicated to perinatal mental health and adoption services. We believe in empowering women and families to build nurturing homes for children. The Hopeful Beginnings podcast tells the stories of pregnancy, birth, and parenthood through the eyes of professionals who serve families in our Chicagoland community. Find out more at hopefulbeginning.org. Hello and welcome back to the Hopeful Beginnings podcast. I am Executive Director Natalie Rodriguez, and I am so happy today to be sharing this podcast with Chelsea and Tori. And I am going to have you ladies introduce yourselves because, like we just stated, your names are a mouthful, but also you have extensive resumes, and I feel like I just cannot do justice to everything that you ladies both do in the world. So,
Fair.
Tori, do you want to start?
Sure. My name is Tori Shaw Morawski. Everyone calls me Tori. I have a consulting agency called Globally Empowered, which originally was focused on workforce development, upskilling the clinical workforce with a health equity lens, but that quickly changed as I stepped into motherhood. I also am a therapist with Flourish Counseling and Wellness. I actually just joined their staff about a month ago. They're in the perinatal mental health space, so my focus is really on the women's life cycle, holding space for women who are going through postpartum depression, who are struggling with infertility, who are thinking about adoption, also those who are going through perimenopause and menopause, so really that whole women's life cycle. And I'm also leading new parent support groups that are funded by local libraries and Hopeful Beginnings.
Yeah. We love having you. Every time you have a group, people come back so fulfilled.
That makes my heart so happy because it's really been feeding my soul on so many different levels. My background is in global health and international development, so the bulk of my career was really focused on capacity building for the interprofessional clinicians around the world in the health IT space specifically. So coming now to the local level has been so fulfilling and humbling on so many levels. So thank you.
Thank you. And Chelsea, let's have you introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Chelsea Laliberte Barnes. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I am doing that through private practice. I'm very part-time right now, but I work at a place called Wolfpack, which is where Tori and I actually met a couple of years ago, and then we had so many synchronizations, but I'm sure we'll get into that a bunch today. And I have focused my career on both clinical and community social work, and the foundations of that were really built by running Live for Lolly, which is a nonprofit that provides harm reduction and recovery support services for people who use drugs, and through that doing a lot of macro work, policy work, and really digging into understanding how what happens to one individual person or their family affects a community, affects our society at large, and how those are all interacting together. And then I do consulting as well. I put on workshops, I gather people, and I'm working on doing a couple of support groups. And I kind of just like to fill in where I'm needed. I'm very grateful to be able to do that and to have say over what I want to focus my work on. But to Tori's point as well, local is where I want to really focus. We have totally abandoned ship on local investment, and we have a lot of work to do. And so supporting organizations like Hopeful Beginnings and coming alongside organizations that are doing great work, that's why I became a social worker, to do that. So those are the various things I do. And then just to clarify, my specialty is in trauma, but trauma also intersects with other really important challenges people are going through: depression, anxiety, all sorts of mood disorders. And then I think the thing people know me the most for is addiction and harm reduction psychotherapy, which is literally meeting people where they're at when they're struggling with behaviors that are just not serving them the way that they want them to.
Right.
That's how I like to talk about that.
Right. Yeah, those are big lenses, trauma and addiction, like that. I feel like that kind of encompasses most people's journey at some point or the other for a lot of us.
Root causes, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So I love that you talked about there's a lot of intersectionalities between you and Tori, but also our agency. So both of you are adopted moms.
Yeah,
which
we are.
came out in different conversations with either of you, but it's really exciting because I really want us to be able to dig into the conversation of how your kind of personal journeys have intersected with the work that you all both are doing in the community. So can I ask each of you, like, how did you kind of find yourselves on the journey of domestic infant adoption? Because it definitely is a journey.
It is a journey, for sure.
Still on it. Still on it.
Once you're started, it doesn't really end.
Yeah,
but
it's lifelong at this point.
Want to start?
Sure. I think that my journey has been so up and down and all around, but really it began when I started trying to create a family. I met my husband late 30s. We didn't even get to trying until early 40s, and I faced a really challenging infertility journey. So I am a self-professed infertility warrior at this point, because that is what it required to climb that mountain.
Yeah.
And a lot of people end up with a baby at the end of their IVF journey, and I ended up with a full hysterectomy.
Wow.
And how I found myself embracing domestic adoption was I knew that we had so much love to give. I knew that at the end of my IVF journey, I wasn't done. Our family wasn't complete. So one of the things that me and my husband did, was we filled out our adoption application before I had my hysterectomy surgery, just so that I could have that piece of hope that my dream of becoming a mother wasn't going to end with that surgery. And it required a lot of soul searching and really getting deeply spiritual. And the message that came to me through one of my various spiritual activities was, you don't need to give birth to become a mother.
I love that.
And that's when my life just changed so dramatically. And even when I was going through the IVF journey, there was something in me, because I was working all over the world in workforce development in Europe and Southeast Asia, across the U.S., on various strengthening projects for clinicians. And it just hit me that one day this is going to be my life's work. I had listened to Robin Roberts on Good Morning America one day when she was going through her second part of her cancer journey, and she said that, I'm going to make my mess my message. And that resonated so deeply within me. And so it's really beautiful now to become full circle and really be immersed in this work, holding space for other women who are going through these challenging journeys to expand their family.
Yeah, it's such a complicated thing to be a woman. It's like, I love the phrase you use when in your introduction is like woman's life cycle, because it's like, it's really, that is a great phrase for it. What about you, Chelsea? How did you get on this journey?
I like, Tori, that you mentioned your spirituality, because it's also the foundation of what made me want to pursue adoption. I had, for years, I felt like it was in my body telling me the messages from my higher power, like, you are going to adopt one day. That is something that I've felt since I was a younger person. And when I got married to my husband in 2018, very quickly I got pregnant with our son. Like, that was not like, we didn't plan for that to happen. And I was like, okay, we're having a baby. And so my son Luke, who's almost 7, is like, I got to experience both being a biological parent and being an adoptive mom, which is wild. Yeah. And so after a time, we decided, we should probably figure out when we're going to start doing this.
Right.
Time's a ticking. right.
Well, and it's not like you get to say, okay, I'm ready to adopt. Baby, come to me. It's definitely.
You're dealing with having an infant and having a toddler, and you're going through stuff. You're going through postpartum. Like, I was dealing with postpartum anxiety. I'm not necessarily sure that for me, adding on another baby in that realm of my life was going to be the answer. In fact, I'm glad that we did not make that choice, but we actually did start trying, and we were not able to we still to this day have not been able to get pregnant again
You
naturally.
know, secondary infertility is so common.
It is.
And I don't
It
think a lot
is.
of people talk about that as much as we should be talking about it.
100%. It's like you think, oh, I'm infertile or I'm not.
Right.
I'm fertile or I'm not.
Right.
It's,
Not-
yes. Like
Not
we have to
knowing
get out
that
of this
your body
black and
has
white.
other plans.
Right. Bodies
Yes.
change, you
Yeah.
know, hormones
Exactly.
change.
Absolutely.
And
Things
in that,
happen.
and women are having kids. I know we're not. That's not what you asked, but women are having kids later. So yeah, we have to talk about it differently now because our bodies are doing different things. After you hit 30, your body starts to completely, and then at
Right.
33, 35, 37,
Yeah.
like
The
there's
cliff.
so
Right.
many shifts.
Right.
You're in perimenopause. You're trying to have a kid during perimenopause. Like, oh my god, no. But so we had just come to a point where we're like, you know what? I think we're ready to start. When Luke was around 4. And domestic infant adoption was always the path we knew we wanted to go down. So we decided to hire a consultant because we knew nothing about any of this. We just knew that we wanted to. And it was never a question for me or my husband. And it's like, all right, we're just going to hit the ground running and see where we end up and be really, really, really just maintain the faith, you know? And it worked. I mean, and I'm sure we'll get into it. And now I have my beautiful 9-month-old son, Miles. And he's, I can't believe it. I look at his little meaty, beefy little chunk ball face
he's
every
so
day. And I'm like,
delicious.
I love you. He's just, he is my son. And he is Luke's brother, and he is Matt's son, and we are a family, and I feel that he was meant for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
And
believe
his mother
I
was meant
believe
for
he
me,
was
you know?
meant for
Like,
you because
yes.
that's what we see at our agency all the time. You know, and adoption's such a journey because it takes a while for all the pieces to fit. And you
Right.
can't force them together because when you try to, it just doesn't work. Every family, I truly believe, has their baby, whether it's biological or adoption or foster.
Yeah.
It fits how it fits together.
Yeah, the soul that is meant for you is going to find you. And I think also we're co-creating with the universe. We're stepping out on faith. Like every adoption story, just like every infertility story, is so dramatically different. And so, yeah, the right soul is going to find you at the right time. Not on your time, but at the right time when all those pieces come together.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like to Tori's point, like Tori and I have completely different journeys, and we ended up in a very similar space. And actually, what we didn't say was we actually were going through adoption at the same exact time. I will
time.
never forget the day that I got that call from Tori about what had happened and where she went.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Oh my God.
I want to know now.
I love that you said all these different pieces have to come together in adoption. And I think what a lot of people also don't understand is that it's the birth parent's choice.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So this is not something that you can say, I want a
Yes.
baby, let me go and
as it
choose
should
my
be.
child.
Yeah.
As it should be. Exactly, Chelsea. So I think that it took us about 2 years to start and get to the other side of adoption and bring home our son, Zenon, who we call Zen. My story is, I love my story. I love our adoption story because I think it's also going back to that co-creating with the universe. I was trying to manifest that one day I would just get a call that a baby was here because I had gone through so many highs and lows in infertility, and even in adoption, when you get different cases and you get your
Right.
hopes up and you don't get picked.
Oh, this would be the perfect person.
Yeah,
for
oh my
us.
God, this is it, right? And it's like, no, it's not it.
I'm sorry to interrupt
Yeah,
you, but
no,
I
please.
think it's something that's not talked about either for adoptive families. It is a lot of rejection sometimes of
Yes.
wondering, oh, there was a situation, but I wasn't chosen or I didn't hear anything. And to process that can be really heavy.
It's a lot of rejection.
So well said.
It's getting comfortable with the rejection aspect of it and coming back to your faith that you have to trust the timing of things. And I think, like, by nature, I'm like type A, recovering perfectionist, classic trying to control things. And what I found during IVF quickly is, oh my God, I need to surrender.
Yeah.
I need to surrender and I need to learn how to trust because that's the only way. I can't manipulate this. I can't control this. I have to disarm myself. So I did manifest. One day I'm sitting on the couch and I get this call oh, a beautiful baby was born. He's so cute. He has a lot of hair. And I was jaded at that time. And I was like, yeah. Just like submit, our book and we'll see how it works out. And they're like, no, this is your child. Like, she has already chose you. You've matched. And I was like, oh, okay.
Like you put it away somewhere in your mind because we apply to so many different situations and then you forget about them and then they show up like they did for you.
Well, and this actually came because we hired a consultant as well, and our son actually came through our local agency in Chicago, Adoption Centers of Illinois. And another fascinating detail is that during COVID and after COVID, adoption plummeted in Illinois specifically. So our agency had said, there's no way you're getting a baby through us.
Really?
Please work with RG Consulting to, get connected. So I had completely abandoned the idea that my baby would come through our local adoption agency there in Uptown. The Uptown area. So, no, he came through our local adoption agency. And so things went very fast. His birth mom, his tummy mommy, chose us for some very unique reasons, which are so beautiful. And she quickly was like, I'm willing to sign the relinquishment paperwork because I don't want to waste any more time. I want him to be with Tori and Mihao, my husband's name. So it was like, can you come and get your baby, but stop at Target, like fill up your car with baby stuff?
I actually love making those calls. Like we do laugh a little bit.
Baby.
Like, they're going to have to put everything in their cart at once.
I mean, oh my God, I'm at Target. Like, are you a mom? Like, what should we be getting for a baby? So yeah, it was wild. And I want to say one other thing, because I think literally 2 days before this call came through, I depressed by like doing dishes, cleaning the house. I'm like doing the dishes and I'm like, F it. I don't care. My life is full. If it doesn't work, like, because I was over the journey and the highs and lows and the rejection, and I had a total breakdown while I was washing my dishes. Like, I'm just making peace with this. And it's always that breakdown before the breakthrough comes through. So it was
like you were having like anticipatory grief almost.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Like, I have to say goodbye to this.
Yes, and just letting it go and making peace with the fact that we had such a beautiful life.
Right.
But clearly our life got so much more beautiful after we brought Zen home. And he really is the missing piece that I had been yearning for through those 7 years of trying to expand our family.
He actually looks a lot like Tori.
Same with your little Miles.
I know, it's
I mean,
weird.
it's so crazy how this works in adoption.
It does, yeah. I was like, did we tell your story, Chelsea? Or
No, and mine is so
Yeah.
different. And it's
Yeah.
very different. So we had learned and bought into this idea that, the ratio of birth moms to adoptive parents is very disparate. So it's 1 to 3, I think. Now, I don't know, you would know more than...
It's
1 out of
probably
40?
It's a lot more than
Yeah,
1 to
it's
3.
like 40
Yeah.
for every 40
for every
family.
waiting family, it's
Thank
about
you.
40
There's
families.
one-
For domestic infant
Yeah, for
adoption.
For domestic, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. Sorry, wrong stat. You guys filled it in. Thank you. But 1 to 40, think about that. For every one birth mother, their birth family, there are 40 adoptive families that are competing. I don't like to use that word, but
it's
that are in the pool
Right.
to be selected. Okay, so we decided, type A, like you, we're gonna.
It's really
Sorry,
common
go
for
ahead.
adoptive families to be type A. So I just want to validate.
I think you kind of have to be.
You have to.
I think you have to
There's
be.
a lot of things you have to do.
Right.
Like there's a lot of
There's a
steps.
lot of lists. There's a lot of anxiety.
Yes.
So pretty much every adoptive family is type A,
Let me
I
be clear,
think.
my husband is not type A.
I am not either.
Very, very
which
type
is
A.
why our clinical director mostly is the one, working with adoptive families, because I'd probably drive them crazy.
It's good to know that
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah.
So we decided to do interstate
Yeah.
adoption. So we started applying for adoption agencies in a few other states that have a very strong adoption community. Florida, Texas, Arizona. There's a lot of states that are just like known for being like adoption hubs. Every state has their own community.
Sure.
So we decided to do, let's just put it out there. And fortunate we could. there's a lot of families who did not have the access to resources financially that we had to have been able to play those numbers games. I hate to put it in marketing terms. I'm sorry, because these are people's lives and families. But that's, when you think about it, that's really a lot of it has become, even in our nonprofit world, even in the therapy world. It's very monetarily related. We can't do any of this without it. So Building Arizona Families is the adoption agency that we used in Phoenix. They were wonderful and amazing, and the other adoption agencies we worked with were great as well. Our consultant, Kelly Todd, with Christian Adoption Consultants, is the one who kind of like shepherded us to those places. And the reason we didn't decide to stay in Illinois was specifically because there was a lot more competition here. We knew we were going to be waiting for a very, very long time. And I know, and it's like a luxury that I know it's a privilege that we got to do what we did, but we did it. So we got matched with Miles's mom in March of 2025. And getting that phone call, it was like the best day of my life, other than having my son and getting married, like just screaming and running around in my backyard. Like we matched with a birth mom, and I was like just beside myself. And then she was really early in her pregnancy. I think she was only like 3 months pregnant,
Wow, that is early.
Which is really early, and also like, you're like, okay, we have a lot of time between now and then, and we all know that like she can decide to keep, there's a lot of anxiety that goes on. Anyways, so but it all worked out, and then Mai was born a month early. That's a whole other part of the discussion of he was a preemie, and he was a drug exposure, and there was a lot that we had to go through in Phoenix. But I remember I was picking my son up from camp, and I'm like standing in the line. This again, 36 weeks. This is 4 weeks before baby's due. Hey, it's Becky from BAF. Hey, your son was born.
Oh my
You're
like, what?
Oh my gosh, Chelsea.
Oh, Luke, we have to go. The baby's here. He's like, what? And I said, like, I didn't know what I was doing.
Oh my God.
And we literally got on a flight at 8 p.m. that night, and we were in Phoenix by 1 a.m., and I met my son at 2 a.m. the next morning. And it was the greatest day ever.
Oh my gosh, Chelsea.
So did your biological son stay here in Illinois, or did you guys take him with
We
you?
made it a big, fun family
made it-
trip. My mom came out. One of our
Awesome.
best friends, Laura,
So you
came
had to
out.
be there for a while.
We
too.
were there, yes. We
Yeah.
were there for almost a month because of the circumstances around his birth, his birth situation, and some of the additional issues he had. He was born with spina bifida, and so we had a lot to deal with. And so, we camped out in Phoenix in the middle of summer.
Oh my God.
And we just rode it out. And Luke had a great time. He played in the pool. He went to a million.
I mean, there's worse places to be, right?
way worse places.
Truly. And the adoption agency was so great. And the other circumstance that is unique to our case is we had to go through the Indian Child Welfare Act process, which a lot of people don't know about. So, anyways.
Yeah. So you touched on this a little bit, Chelsea. Adoption, it can be kind of a political topic these days. It can be a divisive topic these days. There's a lot of power dynamics between adoptive families, between birth families, and then there's also that other layer of what it costs to adopt a child. And it's
Race.
It's just
so many
so layered, and I really would love if we could kind of delve into those topics, because I can talk about it as an adoptive director about like why we have to charge certain things. Our agency is a bit unique. We just charge everyone the same fees, and then we take care of our birth parents. But it is a huge power dynamic, and there is so much. You can only prepare adoptive families for so much. There's only so many conversations you can have before baby gets there. And then it's like, okay, let's navigate what it means to be a biracial family, or let's navigate what it means to have an open adoption.
Right.
What were your experiences like navigating those issues?
Do this one first, Chelsea.
Why? Okay.
Because it's a hard question. It's a really...
Well, and you
Okay,
made
so-
such a great point. you had some really great points when we were preparing.
So one of the things that I think is a big issue right now is let's think about it from a macro level. There's a lot of influence from the party in charge of our government right now around what is a family. And one of the things that the resounding features of that, and this is also like a whole other conversation about how certain Christian religions and groups and sects have sort of co-opted that we do adoption. And I don't mean, and I am a person who believes in Jesus. So I'm like, for me, that's not why I pursued adoption. But so the idea, connecting that back to politics, is that has become a torch-bearing issue for them, just like human trafficking. I think we see that.
We have to save people.
We have to save people, and we have to create nuclear families, and we have to, but we're not, this is a whole other podcast, but we're not willing to spend money on poor people or
maternity leave, parental leave,
child care,
yes, or ending the war on drugs, or fixing our incarceration system. We're not going to do that. We're going to just keep adding on and building the families we want to build. And one of the early things I heard at the beginning of the campaign for this next wave of Trump was, we want families to adopt more kids. And I'm sitting there in the middle of my adoption journey thinking to myself, I am going to be broke beyond broke after this.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to, fine, kids are expensive.
Sure.
What plan do you have in place for families to adopt more children? Like, what does that actually look like? And then we're not even talking about the fact that we still, in school systems, we don't talk about adoption as a pathway to building a family.
Right.
It's like, oh, my friend George is adopted. And that's how kids understand, or they have
Or they use it
mommies,
against each other.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh,
Right.
you don't look like your," because my kids are
Yeah.
half Mexican. They don't particularly look like me. Oh, you're adopted, and
Right.
as a negative, it's
yeah.
what is that?
Yeah.
We've
what
based
is
it
that?
on these really face value
Right.
ideas, and the whole adoption system is really ingrained in that. And when we talk also about adoptive birth mothers, a lot of these women are socioeconomically not in good places. Most of the cases that were presented to Matt and I were women who were really struggling in life.
Right.
Yeah.
And in many ways, so as social worker going through that process, I did not have a hard time empathizing with those women.
Right.
A lot of my friends and family were kind of baffled a lot by, well, aren't you mad at her? Aren't there things that you wish that she were doing differently? I'm like, sure, but she's my child's mother.
Right.
If you've never had a child, I understand, there are people who always wanted to have a child that never could, like you, Tori. But when you have had a child and you have birthed that child from your body, the idea of that child being taken away from you is just kill me now. So think about that.
Yeah.
She is giving you her child. We respect that. We respect that.
And if she wasn't in the, socioeconomic place that she was, or,
Thank you for bringing it
life
back.
elements, because
Yes.
this is not their first choice.
Sure.
Clearly,
No.
if we had more governmental support and programs in place, women wouldn't have to make such a heartbreaking decision.
Well,
100%.
there's a lot of that. So
Yeah.
we see a lot of that socioeconomic. But I'm going to push back on that a little bit, because there is we hear a lot on social and from other agencies, well, we do need more socioeconomic support. We need the diapers, we need the childcare. But there's also this element of adoption of not every woman chooses to get pregnant.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
And
Thanks for saying that.
Yes.
there's situations that we've had babies where mothers have given birth, obviously wasn't their first choice, but they knew that baby wasn't going to be safe with them.
Right.
Or they've looked at baby and baby might have reminded them of their abuser. So
Absolutely.
Yes, and we would hear about those cases. I think
Yeah.
they would be really transparent, which was great about the
Yeah.
adoption, just saying this young person was raped by her father or her stepfather. and that's why she's pregnant. And so you are 100% right.
Yeah.
You were right.
100%
And
right.
my mom was actually adopted. She was born in 1945. Her mother was white, and she got pregnant by a black man and could not bring this child home and had to entrust her child with the only black family that she knew.
Wow.
So there are certainly situations that dictate, that we have to make this choice for a host of other reasons beyond
Sure.
SES.
But yeah, the socioeconomic too, because, for our adoptive families, it's affording the adoption process. And then on top of that, you're parenting a newborn.
Right.
Yes.
So that's kind of expensive too.
Exactly.
Very much.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And you learn that along the way. You're like, wow, these bills are really racking up. And a lot of questions that people had, I don't know about you, Tori, but a lot of questions that people had were, well, what are you paying for exactly? I'm like, well, you're paying for the agency to do their work, caring for the mother, going through the legal and regulatory processes. You're paying for legal services. You're paying for in many cases, the birth mother, your birth mother to live.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
We pay for her
Right.
housing. We pay. Well, how do you know that money is going to that? I'm like, the adoption agency
Right.
takes care of it. Like, wow. So she, the comments that people would make to me, like, she's just getting a free ride. I'm like, wait. Like, we have to back up right now.
Yeah.
No.
It's so.
People have to live in
Yeah.
order to have their babies. And they have to go get prenatal care. They have to go to work if they can.
They have to take
They
care
have
of their
to
other
have a
children
home.
that they're parenting.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, and same if it was like a young woman who got pregnant and she did not want to, right? Like,
Right.
and that was her thing and she's pursuing adoption. Same. What does
Still,
she need? She
yeah.
needs support. She needs mental health care. Maybe she has a medical condition. Like, there's like so much
So many
that
layers.
women need.
Yeah, there's so
Yeah.
many
I
layers.
realized it went off on a really long tangent.
No,
That's
no.
okay.
You didn't get
I
to
mean,
answer though, Tori,
No,
did you?
well, I'm just going to chime in a little bit because a lot of what you said, both of you said, resonate deeply with me. But I think as a woman of color coming into private adoption, yes, I acknowledge my privilege because the cost of private adoption is just, it's a lot, even when the costs are justified, right?
Yes.
It requires a lot of time, energy, and money that is going out of the door, and that is, it was hard for me seeing in the private adoption world that the babies, which in 2023, the statistic was that majority of the babies who are placed in domestic adoption are going to non-family or going to white families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So transracial adoption, and it was heartbreaking for me to see that, the cost is such a huge roadblock to Black and brown people being able to adopt children from our communities. So
Yeah.
that was a really tough pill for me to swallow. And I have to say one other thing, because there is a competition when it comes to the baby cases and being chosen, and, it was interesting to me that being in a biracial, or we're in a multiracial marriage, that we were actually popular in adoption, because so many Black and brown moms want to ensure that their child
Right.
is going to have some sense of who they are and who, the communities that they came from. So that was also really shocking for me that so many areas of life, it's not so popular to be a person of color,
Right.
but then coming into adoption.
Yeah, I
it
mean,
was.
the lack of diversity in the prospective adoptive parent pool, it's a real issue. And it's really hard to sit with a birth parent who might want a Latino family or an Asian family or an African American family or a biracial family and say, I don't have that family to show you.
Wow, Natalie, I can imagine that
Yeah.
is really hard.
Really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is why our birth mother chose us, because she was really tickled. My husband is an immigrant who came from Poland when he was 17 years old. I am Black and white, and our son is Mexican and Black. And his birth mom just got so tickled that we were all each a different race, and she was so excited for us to be a trio.
Right. Well, because you were already navigating these
Yes,
issues as a
yes.
couple, and now you're just going to navigate them as a family.
Yeah, and being
So-
biracial is also a unique lived experience. So that was also very important to me when I really got into what I was desiring and how I would be the best parent, how I would hold space for this child.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
I want to say too that Tori's experience and our many conversations really had a profound impact on me as we were going through the adoption journey of maybe making an intention not to necessarily be to actually like find a child that is white so that other multiracial families or brown or black families can actually make the family that they want to. But then again, I knew that decision wasn't going to be up to me at the end of the day.
Right.
But it really made me think, just like, wow, this is complicated, and that's okay because you're building a family.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
True.
yeah. So thank you for that, friend.
My pleasure, friend.
Influence.
Do you both feel that, so I would love to hear about how you kind of both came to your roles as mental health professionals, but how has that kind of co-evolved as you've been also on your motherhood journeys?
So good. That's a good
You want to take this
question.
first?
Yeah. So, I mean, I got my master's degree in social work. I am also a social worker.
Go social workers. We love them.
So I graduated in 2012, but I was already doing the work of my dreams, working in resource-limited countries throughout Africa and the Caribbean at that time. I was really focused on strengthening healthcare systems in resource-limited countries. And I was not ready to be a therapist, but I knew in the back of my mind at some point this would come back to the forefront. So I went along, and 3 years ago, I went through a huge career transition where I left the global health IT world. I started doing DEI consulting and workforce development consulting. And at the same time, I mean, that's how I came to Wolfpack. They had a clinical fellowship program, and I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if I could do this program while I'm doing my consulting, and then maybe this is how therapy comes back into play, and it absolutely was. Wolfpack was created by Jill Wolf, who happened to be my clinical supervisor in grad school, and she had connected with me and told me about this fellowship, and I was like, this is exactly what I was looking for.
Thank you for explaining that, because I always wondered where this name Wolfpack came from.
Jill Wolf, baby.
Okay,
If you're listening, Jill.
I get it.
Shout out to Jill Wolf.
So I at the end of the fellowship, Jill hired me to be a staff therapist, and I was like, I love this. And then obviously the whole anti-DEI movement came, and the administration, the campaign heated up, and so things were changing so dramatically that I was like, this is exactly where I'm meant to be right now. And then when Zen came to us, we brought him home when he was 3 days old, and I just remember sitting on the couch like, well, what the hell do I do now?
Yeah.
Like, what do I do now? Because a lot of my friends, their children are now babysitting Zen. So I was like, how do I build community? How do I find people? So I would go to the Schaumburg Library, and I would do the baby play classes, and I would sit there, and it would be kind of awkward because moms would just be sitting around like having their babies play, but no one was talking. And, it's kind of weird later in life to be like, hey, like, want to hang out?
You want to be my friend, please?
My friend can I get your phone number? Like, what's your email
You're
address?
right. Thank you. It is so awkward.
So awkward. So I saw on the Schaumburg Library site, like, pitch a program. And I was like, I need to pitch a new parent support group because, like, self-serving, but also I want to nurture this community. I want to help other mothers out who were in that room as awkward as I was. So shout out to Amber Krieger at Schaumburg Library, because she was like, I love this idea. Let's do it. Let's give you a 3-month pilot and see how it goes. And we just celebrated a year in January.
Yay.
And
I've been to one, and they're fun and packed.
Thank you, Chelsea. Yeah, no, it's it's enriched my life in ways that I could have never imagined. So it's so funny because I think Zinan's timing in coming to the earth plane was kind of waiting for me to rewire my life and create the space for him, because now I get to stay home with him during the day and do these support groups where he comes and all the kids come and they play together while the parents are connecting. So it's really changed my life in so many ways and my career. And it's also why I ended up at Flourish Counseling and Wellness, really wanting to double down into this perinatal mental health, postpartum space, infertility space, adoption space. So that is
It's
that
been
is
so
how I
cool to
came
see
back.
your journey. I
Oh,
wanted to
thank
add something
you.
you said earlier, because you did shout out social workers. Social workers don't have to be therapists.
Yep,
And therapists
exactly.
aren't social workers. There are some therapists who aren't
That's
social
very
workers.
true.
And so many social workers don't end up being therapists.
Yeah.
And I just want to validate, you had this awesome degree and then you went and did something with it that was so incredibly important for the world.
Yeah.
And then you came back and you said,
Yeah.
clinical's
Yeah.
the way.
Because I purposely did the MSW program to train to become a therapist. It had always been in me. I remember in high school I took a psychology class and was like, I'm going to be a therapist. And then life happened. But it's so beautiful how things just come full circle in our lives that we can't anticipate.
Absolutely. We see a lot, when at our agency, we often interview a lot of young social workers, and it's really interesting to hear them through questions, trying to figure out what exactly they want to do as a social worker, because there are so many avenues. We have some of them where you're here to interview for perinatal mental health, but you sound like you're actually telling me that you want to go work with people whose pets have passed away, or you really want to go do macro stuff with policy, and it's all the same degree, but it's just the application. So it is super cool.
That's the versatility of the MSW too. It opens so many doors, and it allows you to try one thing, and if that's not a fit, you can try something else.
Yeah.
And that is really, I think, the power of social work.
We are an underrated and highly undervalued and highly underutilized field, okay?
Yes.
We should be running the world, and we could.
And we definitely could.
And, okay, repeat the question one more time.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure I
So I'm
answer
not
it.
going to phrase it the same way because I'm not sure
Please
how
do.
I phrased it. But I just wanted to ask, so if you could just tell us a little bit about how you came to become a mental health professional, but also how your mommyhood or your motherhood journey has impacted you as a professional.
Okay. Got it. So I've been in therapy since I was 9.
Oh,
And I'm so grateful that my mom decided to do that as my parents were going through a divorce.
Yeah.
Because it gave me language and that I didn't have. And I think that's the challenge for kids who are going through difficult things is we feel it in our body. We're experiencing really uncomfortable, big feelings that we don't know how to understand. And is this normal? Is this not normal?
Right.
You're just trying to make sense of the world. That's every day for all humans, but
Right,
for
right.
kids. Anyways, so I think I saw the value of it from such a young age. And then I went to college and wanted to become a writer. I always wanted to be a writer. And so I went and got my degree in integrated marketing communications and went into advertising. And during that time is when my brother Alex died from an overdose. And so his overdose not only impacted my life because I lost my brother and I was grieving, but it angered me to a level that, we three know the fruits of that now.
Yes.
But at 23 years old, starting a nonprofit with my family, trying to figure out how are we going to leave our mark? What are we going to do? And deciding to actually start a harm reduction program in the suburbs. Okay, sure, have
People
fun
don't
with
do
that.
drugs in the suburbs. What are you
Right.
talking
No,
about,
they don't.
Chelsea? No, that doesn't happen.
Impossible.
And then just discovering, literally, and then right. There are still people who think this, and I'm like, you don't do drugs? I'm just kidding. No. We all have things that we do, right?
Right.
There's an unhealthy way to engage in pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Food, whatever. And so through that journey of coming alongside people's journeys and forced engagement, when we started our syringe access program, I wasn't a syringe drug I wasn't using drugs at that time. And so to forcibly be in those communities with people who were, and sitting with them and hearing their stories, and then going back and like having like conversations about like the Real Housewives with my friends, like it was just like hitting differently for me.
Yeah.
I was diving in like a way, and like I just had the most real conversation I've ever had in my life. I'm sorry, I cannot talk to you about
Right.
Vanderpump Rules right
Oh
now.
my God.
Sorry. But I became different. I changed immensely.
Yeah.
And discovered that I really like policy work. I really like I have something to say. Give me a mic. I don't know. Give me a platform, and I'll tell you what I think. But I saw such a huge hole in the systems around how we were taking care of people who are vulnerable, because all the issues are intersecting. Drug use comes along with, just name it. I mean, just like it's there.
Sure.
Trauma,
That's the output.
housing access issues, all the things. Drug use is like the symptom. It's not
Right.
the
Exactly.
root.
Exactly.
It's a coping mechanism.
It is.
People do drugs for a reason. Most
Exactly.
people don't
Yeah.
do drugs for fun. Some do. I mean, not to say that drugs
I
aren't
did.
fun.
Yeah, I think,
But-
the recreational.
I mean, but usually
But
there
when
is
they're
at that level where they're
covering up
dependent, yeah.
other feelings that we're
Right.
experiencing underneath the surface that we're not ready to unpack, deal with, go in and heal. And Chelsea, I'm
Exactly.
so in awe of the work that you have done with your family. I mean, and
Yeah.
talk about making your mess your message as a
Oh,
family
yeah.
unit, and how we don't know in the moment what life is preparing us for. You going into therapy, acquiring this language, embracing this career journey, and then experiencing this tragedy with your brother, losing your brother at such a young, tender age. I mean, I just feel like that was the perfect storm for everything that you're now doing.
Yeah, that's a really good way to summarize it. And I think my parents knew that they could not silence me. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, there was so much going on in my own family dynamic, which again is another podcast episode, of like what families go through when there's
Right.
somebody that you love that's struggling with substance use or has died from an overdose or whatever the issue is. But so then after really understanding a lot about how to implement social justice work and community change and working with different types of communities. I never thought I'd be like hanging out with police because they wanted to do an naloxone program. And that was my foray into community social justice work.
Yeah.
The Republican-led Lake County Police
Wow.
and Sheriff, they were like, we're going to do naloxone. Everyone's doing naloxone, so we want
Yeah.
you to come and help. Like, that changed how I view the world, how I view politics, how I view government, how I view social systems, all the things. Yeah, so not everybody gets to do that. So then I decided that social work was going to be it for me. So I was like, I got to do something with this. I'm not going to go back to marketing after this. This is like who I am. So I decided to go and get my master's.
We have so much overlap because after my undergrad, I went into marketing, couldn't deal with it, ended up moving to California, working in a small rural town in Santa Barbara County, doing needle exchange
Right.
programming,
I know,
running
isn't
a
that so weird?
That is so
lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, plus, queer plus organization where I was staffing a needle exchange. I mean, I was doing HIV test counseling, and that is really what took me to Africa, because then we were at the height of the HIV/AIDS crisis all
Right.
around the world. So, oh my gosh, I'm so in awe. And I'm so in awe of how some of our experiences overlap so uniquely.
And you learn when you're running these programs, speaking of the motherhood aspect of this, you're caretaking in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not necessarily there to save. You're there to come alongside and really empower and support and meet people where they're at. That's what we're doing
being
through harm
that safe
reduction. We're meeting
space.
people where they're at. And so when I became a mom, this feeling was similar. The feeling was similar in how I care about my kid. I care about my participants in a similar way. My kid's my kid, right? But like
Right.
there is a fierce like mama bear approach that comes with like once you've seen the injustice happen, you cannot unsee it.
Right.
And that's the thing, and that's why we become so passionate. That's why I became so passionate. And then I think about my brother, so it all kind of like ties together, but motherhood and social work puts a different spin on it, which is also why I think it was very not as challenging for me to have empathy, a great empathy, and a great respect for Miles's mother. When I think about her, I think about her journey, and I come at it first with thank you, like gratitude.
Yeah.
I do. And I know that's not the same. Like, sure, there were moments where I was like, please.
Well, I mean, you are human. It is, human to be
like,
frustrated.
No, you should get the ultrasound. Like, go get
Right.
the ultrasound. Like, But I had no control over what she did, and so coming to terms with that, I have no control over what my child does when he's not in my presence, or when he is in my presence, right? Like, so all those things are like factors here, and I don't know. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense.
No,
but
it makes
I think it totally does.
wild. It's a wild time.
It definitely informs your parenting philosophy to look at your child as a human that you cannot control, that you accept and you just hold their space and you kind of help them figure it out as much as they let you.
As much as they let
Right?
you. Even at a young age, those personalities are roaring.
For sure.
Mine is
Oh my
at least
gosh.
my little
As though I
Leo
should be
dragon.
surprised. Oh, you want to do what now? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. You're raising strong leaders, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is there anything about adoption that you really would like others to know, other community members, other families, that you would say, wow, it would make my life easier as a parent?
I think we get stuck in these binary kind of conversations about I want to have kids or I don't want to have kids. And if I want to have kids, first I got to start having my own kid. That's where we've decided as a culture we're going to start, right? I've got to make my own family. Then if that doesn't work, I'm going to try infertility treatment. Then if that doesn't work, I'm going to try. How about we have a different conversation about what feels good out of all of those options? Like, it doesn't have to be one or the other. Like, what if it started with adoption? Why does it have to be the last thing you do?
Right.
What if that were the first thing you looked into? Like, just thinking about that. I think it's sort of considering adoption earlier than you may have thought to. And understanding yourself. Like, for example, there are women who have a lot of chronic pain, who have a lot of bodily challenges, who maybe the idea of being pregnant for them is actually risky.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You don't
Right.
have to.
Right.
So maybe thinking about adoption is not the last ditch effort, kind of like you think about harm reduction. It's not the last ditch effort. It's the front. Like let's put it towards the front as one of the options for you. That's what I would say.
And
I
that's
think.
interesting. I really feel like that would help shift our perspective about what is a family, right? Because
a family?
we work with so many same-sex families or
Yeah.
families that just don't look like that mom, dad, biological child. If we had a different perspective about what family meant, it could mean all the things, right?
Right.
Yes.
It really could.
What does it mean to you? What are your values? What do you want your family to be like, look like, right?
And the younger generation, them consciously deciding not to have children. There are a lot of children in need. There's the whole adoption kinship network. It's not just private adoption. It's, embracing foster care, becoming a foster parent. Adoption was always in my heart because of my mom.
Right.
And my mom did go on to become a foster parent. So I got to see what the foster care system was like up close and personal.
Yeah. Can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
Did seeing the foster system so up close deter you or impact you on your adoption journey?
I would say it did. First of all, I knew that I wanted to be able to say I was with you when you came into this world. Like, I was with you at the very start because I did have my mom had foster children who came in and out of her home who, came to her later in life, and I saw, how that impacted them and then the overall impact on our family in a sense. But I had already started embracing foster care. We had just done our foster care paperwork when I got the Zen call.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. So it was kind of just getting back to my heart and like understanding and honoring my mom's life trajectory and the choices. I was so in awe of her by becoming a foster mom. So I had already gotten to that, like, okay, there's a lot of babies that need love, and I just really got out of trying to control and just really tried to open my heart, knowing, again, we had so much love to give. I think that I would want people to know that adoption also isn't for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something that you're like, oh, well, this doesn't work out, I'm going to run over the adoption and it is, it requires a lot of thought and time and important conversations if you're in a partnership or if you're single, all of these different considerations. And it's a process, and it's not easy. It really requires digging in and finding your tenacity.
Yeah, I love that. Sometimes we get these calls about like, can we come see the babies? Can we come hold the babies?
Like a pet adoption,
or like
a pet store.
Like a pet store. And when there's a space to explain it, you know, that is that huge conversation of babies don't belong in institutions. Even if we have a baby that, you know, moms are figuring out if they're going to place or not, that baby's going to be in a home, not in our office, guys. And
my gosh, that's such an interesting.
Well,
gosh, what you must go through.
Yeah,
that is fascinating.
And I wonder, because didn't the Cradle have a volunteer program where you could go and like hold babies?
They did.
Yeah.
They did, or they do.
To build the attachment.
Yeah.
As they're waiting to be formally adopted.
Yeah, so our philosophy, babies belong in homes. So
Yes.
even if we have a baby in our custody, that whatever's going on,
one's coming
there-
to
no
hold
one's
it.
coming to the office to hold it. They're so cute, but no, like let's have boundaries for adoptive kids the same way we have them for biological kids. Like
100%.
You must have
Yeah.
your
job
stories.
is to protect the child.
Exactly.
Right.
And
At all
protection
costs.
means also from unrecognized trauma that may be happening. And when you start to build those attachment bonds, here we go, social work. When you start to build those attachment bonds with people and then they go away,
Yeah.
you know, you're creating more attachment strife for them. And that's actually one of the reasons why we decided to adopt from birth, because we really knew, given all the circumstances, that we wanted to give Miles the best possible shot that he could have. Not because the other kids don't deserve it. They all deserve it. They're all kids are beautiful and deserve to have a home. But for us and our family, that we were created just to make sure that we could do everything we could for Miles to know that he has people who love him, that he has people to come back to, that we're not leaving him, that we're not going to abandon him, that he is ours. He has a family, he has a home. And so for us, you know, it's those first 2 years of life, right, that are the most critical for development. So I just knowing that, I think, was also a benefit. And so just thinking about that in terms of the decision for why to adopt what child and how.
Sure,
Everybody's
sure.
different, but for us, that was a big factor.
Same with us.
Yeah.
Same with us. Absolutely. Those foundational years are critical. I mean, they're so critical, and I wanted to play a role in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Attachment wounds.
Attachment
I've got them.
wounds.
You've got them. Yeah.
They run deep. They run through us, right?
Yeah.
So Tori, you work in perinatal mental health, and postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, those are huge topics. And we
Yes.
often associate that with our hormones with birth. But they're also really something similar or the same that goes on with adoptive parents, right? Or there's post-adoption, you know, regret. I hate to use that word, or feelings. Have you experienced that or known people that have experienced that? Or, you know, what helped you attach in those first days, weeks of getting to know your baby?
That's such a great question. And I am drinking through a fire hose trying to absorb all the information of coming into the perinatal mental health field, because it is a very specific skill set. I think for me, one of my mentors, Dr. Marion Ball, who's a pioneer in healthcare informatics, she warned me. She was like, you know, you're going to have post-adoption depression. Have you heard of that term? And I was like, what? Like, I wasn't understanding that at all. And I don't think it really landed for me until I was sitting on the couch with him, like, well, here's my dream, and now I'm a mom. Like, what the hell do I do? And I think because it had been a 7-year journey, and how he came into our home so abruptly, like in adoption, they had told us, don't even set up a nursery.
Right.
Don't do anything to get attached. Right. So I didn't have anything in place. Like, I'm just trying to care for this 3-day-old to the best of my
recall you
ability.
being like genuinely shocked.
I was very shocked.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And
she had nothing.
I had nothing. I mean, Chelsea came over with her like
I mean, Luke and I were
literally
Here's the play plan,
nothing.
you know.
Everything. Yeah, Chelsea.
Sorry,
shout out to Chelsea because she really stepped up for me. And
Did you know
about
babies
community.
come with so much stuff? Like, I don't think I ever
And
knew.
do they really need all this
They really
stuff?
don't, but there's such pressure to give them all the stuff. So that's how you ended up with it.
Yeah, I had no regrets. I mean, it's so funny because we didn't know what Zenon's birth mom looked like. We didn't know what he looked like. Like, it was like the ultimate blind date, like when we went to pick him up. And I remember that's when because I had to call into work, or not call into work, but we were having a meeting that evening, and I was like, oh my God, I better call Chelsea and Jill and let them know I'm not going to be in group soup tonight because I'm picking up my child. But it's like the first moment I saw him, I was like, of course this is our child. This is, I had been talking to this baby spirit way before he came to the earth plane, and there was just an instant connection. But I could not sleep. I didn't have baby blues. I just had severe anxiety. And I'm even not thinking of the phrase of I could not sleep. I couldn't detach, like, because I couldn't believe that it was real, that I finally had a baby. So I wanted to be looking at him 24/7. And then my husband quickly was like, you need sleep.
Yeah.
You need sleep. But it was so hard for me to sleep. So I don't think I would have ever understood that my body would react like that. It was very, very humbling that it was a lot of different emotions. It was definitely some depression because someone told me that postpartum depression is just really mourning the life that you're never going to have again.
Your whole identity shifts.
Yes,
and
completely.
You're never going to be the
on
same
every
person.
level.
Yep.
And, like, I didn't have any time to prepare, like, in terms of creating a nursery or, having the traditional things that happen when you're pregnant, having that baby shower, setting up the nursery. I also was so focused on the adoption process that I didn't have any fun that summer. Like, I was literally packing to go visit my cousin in Boston and have this epic weekend when I got the call that Zen was born. So I think it was like, I should have gone. I should have gone
earlier.
More concerts this summer. Like, what was I thinking? Why didn't I go to Costa Rica with my girlfriends? Like, so it was that, like, oh my God, that's just gone. And here I am now, and I'm responsible for this life. And now I have to do everything in my power to rearrange my life to hold space for him. And I think that definitely required a shift and a different level of understanding who I was in that moment. And I think it's something that I'm still struggling with, this sense of self-identity, selfhood, not being able to just be like, I want to go out tonight with my friend. Like, everything changes. So I'm still settling in.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah. What about you? I mean, I
so-
will never be settled because that's just my personality. My oldest is 12, and I very much sympathize with that journey of feeling like there's all these things you kind of wish you would have done, but that wasn't life,
No,
and you got to
it wasn't
accept
my
it.
journey.
Yeah.
I manifested getting that call, and that's how it went. So.
Yeah, and I think, too, one thing we don't talk about in the matriarchy, because we are a matriarchy, is we also, this generation of women, our generation of women, we have careers. We have things that are going on in our lives that we're trying to be and do. We're trying to have careers. We're trying to have families. We're trying to travel. We're trying to do all the things that we want to do. Yes. We're trying to, go, do, our activities, work out.
Right.
I mean, take care of ourselves and plan a birthday party. It's a lot. The difference, I think, for me but also the similarity is that because I had an older son, when this was happening, is I had a sense of how I was going to respond, so I tried to prepare myself so that, not that I would avoid having postpartum anxiety or depression, so that I knew what I needed. Knowing what you need or what you might need. And for me, it was my psychiatrist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking to my psychiatrist,
Yeah.
like, I need to sleep. I had postpartum, with Luke, I had postpartum anxiety for 10 months.
Wow.
And postpartum insomnia for 10 months.
Yes,
I did
that's the
not
word I
sleep.
was looking for.
Yes, and that is, yes, and you had that too.
Yeah.
And so I, made some decisions based on what I knew I had I had the luxury, right, of having
Yeah,
an
that
experience
lived
already. So I thought,
experience.
okay, well, what could I possibly? And then he came and I was like, wait, I don't know, I know what to do. I've already felt what it feels like to have to feed your baby or to hear your baby cry or to
Right.
When you've had a baby before, you kind of know what to expect. And so I guess I thought I was going to be absolutely chaos mom, like nuts, like just all the things in place because I didn't want to mess up Miles, And what I discovered was that, oh, wait, no, like my body is giving me wisdom and telling me to do certain things, and I need to probably trust that.
Yeah.
And also, I think, just being in the world in general as a woman is tough, right? Like we are built for toughness.
Yeah.
And we do this thing to ourselves where we just keep piling on, right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying, like, I think that's why people in the adoption community build villages. I think we learn that we need one quickly because that's sort of, and it's offered to
Absolutely.
you, like what Hopeful Beginnings does with
Right,
groups
right.
and with different
Yes.
events. Like you are
Right.
out there. You're trying to say to the community, like, we're here. Like we're
Right.
here for you no matter where you are, like in your adoption journey. And so I think for me it was like as a 40-year-old woman trusting my body differently. I was going through a very different thing. I had to say goodbye to being a workaholic, being a perfectionist, being the person who was always available, having little boundaries, being a people pleaser. Like I had been in a process of saying goodbye to that person for a while. So to have Miles came at a really, really good time. But at the same time, it's freaking chaos.
It's
Right.
all the time. Like I
Yes.
cannot go to your event. I can't. I want to.
I want to.
You
so
can't come to this
badly.
panel. You can't come to Springfield for 3 days to lobby. I cannot. I can make some phone calls. I might be able to make some texts. But that's about all I can do. So it's like recalibrating. And so it's like meeting yourself where you're at in the moment that you're there. And so and also like again, like we have this women and everyone, we want to control things. Duh. Right? Like that's just humans. You can't.
You can't.
And if you can surrender, you used the word surrender earlier. If you can surrender to that, I think it could be really helpful.
And keep trying again and again. You're going to get broken at some point, so you're going to be forced
Right,
into
right.
surrender. And I also want to normalize the intrusive thoughts that come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't think I was
sure.
prepared
Like,
for
am I doing this
them.
right?
Yeah,
Am
or just I'm finding that a lot of women start ruminating and thinking about death a lot more,
Oh,
or
sure.
dropping their child, hurting their child. So normal. And I think I know I was scared for myself. I remember, Chelsea, you came to season and we have these stairs and I didn't have on shoes and you're like, oh, these could be slippery with a newborn. And after that, I was like, oh my God. I kept
remember saying
I kept, sorry, but you were like cautioning me, like, maybe you should put on some house shoes or something. I don't know. You're going down these stairs with this
Okay.
baby. So just these ruminating thoughts that come up that, again, all these things that are outside of our control. And I think a lot of women aren't prepared for those thoughts, and so they're very scary. And the ruminating about death makes so much sense because
like
now
your baby
you're
having SIDS or something?
no,
like that? Or you
just
dying?
being so aware of our mortality
Right.
as
Oh,
we're
sure.
embracing
Yeah.
this new life. That makes so much sense that we
Right.
would be thinking about this because we want to be here to raise this child and to see them through to adulthood. So I think it's just natural that we start thinking about our own mortality.
Yeah, and I think with the
sense.
intrusive thoughts, there's just such a stigma around any intrusive thought during motherhood. Like, oh my God, you're telling me you feel like you're going to drop the baby, you're going to be a danger to your baby, you're going to call DCFS. It's probably not going to happen, but
Right.
there's no space in society to talk about that. I feel like.
There's so many
we're very
spaces in
judgy.
society that
Oh,
we're
yeah.
not talking about. Like, I mean, I think all of us can say that we thought of motherhood as one way, and then that baby was handed to us and the veil was lifted, and it was a
Sure.
dramatically different reality than what we may have heard about or witnessed. It's way more messy than society
Sure.
prepares you for.
And I think with adoption, I assume there must be this added layer of you should be grateful that you have this
Yes.
baby.
Definitely, definitely, because you know how hard, like, it took 2.5 years for us
Right.
to find Miles.
Yeah.
Like, you know that other women are other families are going through this for years and years and years, and they're not getting selected, or they're not, they're not, whatever the thing is that's happening for them. And that is like, and you know how grateful like you are for whatever the God, the universe wanted to put in your path. So absolutely, there's a lot of like survivor guilt, like
There
like
is.
I think there is. I
Yeah,
think there
even
is.
as being a Black woman, having the enough privilege to, adopt a newborn through private adoption. I had to sit with that for a while.
Yeah.
There are so many different things, and I think also coming from the infertility realm into adoption, if it weren't for Zen's tummy mommy, like, I wouldn't be a mom. That
Right.
is, I think about this woman, and I send so many good vibes, and I'm keeping her in my heart every single day, because I wouldn't even have this experience if she hadn't chosen us.
Right.
100%. And one thing that I think is really interesting. So my son has 3 full siblings, 2 of which are with kinship, and another one is with another adoptive family in another state. And the bond that I've been able to build with his
wow.
older sister's mother, when there's a health issue or have you heard from the birth mom or whatever it was, just to know that she's there and I can text her, and the goal being to
Yeah.
like get them together and like have a relationship. They're little. She's 1.5 and he's
Right.
9 months. But just knowing that there's others going through this in Miles's direct family, and having access to that information, and the adoption agency working really hard for us to be able to get that relationship going. I'm so grateful
What
for
a
it,
gift.
especially for
Yes.
those first those months leading up to when he was born, and the months after it. Just like them, hey, how are you guys doing? Just checking in. They had gone through similar issues to us, so it was like, yeah,
Yeah.
what a blessing!
What a
you get a whole new
blessing,
family.
and
You get a whole
I'm
new
so
additional
envious
family.
because
Yeah, right.
in this day and age, most adoptions are open, and that is certainly the healthiest thing. But our birth mother chose closed adoption, and really put up her boundary of there's nothing I can do for him until he turns 18, and if he wants to find me, then he certainly can. So that is something that has been hard for us, I think, and he does have siblings, but I don't have the ability
You
to
don't have the
connect.
access.
And see, I hear this story, and because I love Tori, immediately what I feel is guilt,
Oh,
which is
why?
selfish. Because wow, what a lucky person I am that I have those resources and access, and we do this as mothers. Like, I didn't mean to
Right.
take away from
Yeah,
your story, but we
no.
do this as mothers. Oh, the haves and have-nots, and
Yeah.
wouldn't it be nice? And if all my family's MAGA. Like and like you have a family that isn't. Sorry, you can cut that out.
Like, wait, what?
Or all my family are big bad liberals, and I don't like them. Whatever it is, like
Right, yeah.
like whatever it is, whatever
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
thing is, like that we don't have.
Right.
You
Well,
make a life out of what you have.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. And we are living in a time of huge technological advancement where everyone is on social media. So I may or may not have found his birth mother and downloaded some photos to print out for him. And so I have more pieces of the puzzle because she really didn't even want to give us a photo. Like, we only saw a copy of her driver's license. So being able to use social media to find those puzzle pieces were such a huge gift.
That's so interesting, and I agree. And also because I'm public on social media, I was so worried that she would find my public page and be like, this liberal, democratic crazy lefty. I don't want this person being my
But
kid's
you are
mom.
who you are.
I know.
Right?
I just, I was like, no, but I know. But of course, you could imagine, like, how,
all
like
the fears.
Yeah.
what
There's
are
so
people
many
gonna think
things.
if they find me? I'm a social
Yeah.
worker. Whatever you think of somebody,
Yeah,
Right. And this is where our
exactly.
The
anxiety
internet is
and our
a-
mind is lying to us all the time, right? And making
The
it,
anxiety,
yeah,
right,
it
exactly.
is.
What if, what
It's
if,
such
what
a
if, what if?
huge component
Yeah.
to this whole process of adoption is the anxiety, the hoping it works out. That there's so many emotions that go into this.
Yeah, and I think as your kids get older, I can imagine it just changes. It's not easier. It's
Yeah.
just different. So,
Yeah, for sure. And also, our adoption isn't finalized yet.
Really?
Because of the Indian
Well, because of
Council?
a lot of his health issues, we were
Right.
applying for SSI for him,
Right.
and got denied. That's like a whole other thing.
Oh,
you
we
know?
can talk off podcast.
Oh, gosh.
I have many stories for you about
Oh,
that.
I'm sure
so,
you do. But
yeah.
but to your point, like once you adopt your child, or once you are placed with your child and you're legally their guardian, which is technically the term I am for him.
Yeah.
You have to do a number of things before you are, which is a good thing, before you are officially that child's
Yeah.
legal parent. And sometimes that gets pushed because of medical issues that,
See, well, this is where then I feel a little. Ours was
there you go.
boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Our adoption. Zen came home on August 8th, and I think our adoption was finalized on December 8th.
Wow.
It
Yeah.
was so fast.
super
every
quick.
journey is super unique.
Yeah,
glad.
that's what's so beautiful about this community is no two stories are the same. There are similarities, but they are all so unique, just like infertility journeys.
Well, I want to thank you both so much for being here today, for sharing this conversation. I feel like we touched on a lot of topics, but I think you
yeah.
both will have to come back because there's a lot more depth there that we could really go
happy
into.
to.
So,
Thank you for what you do.
I mean,
thank you.
seriously, you inspire me. All the work that you guys are doing at Hopeful Beginnings, so vital, so necessary. And I'm always like, oh my God, so much inspiration. Same with Chelsea. The work she's doing in this community is so beautiful.
I mean, we need a community for each other,
We do.
for our families, for our kids.
Yes.
You know, that's the only way we're going to make it, right?
Yes.
So if anyone would like to find you, how can they do that?
Google me. No, I'm just kidding.
It probably would work.
No,
Yeah.
you could Google
You could
both
just
of us.
Google both of
actually.
us, Chelsea
Tori
Laliberte Barnes, Tori
Tori
Shaw
Shaw
Morawski.
Morawski.
And on Instagram, I'm mentalhealth.chels, and
Oh,
you
you
know,
have to follow her.
you can follow me or not. But that's one way you can get a hold of me. Just DM me.
I love it. I'm also on Instagram under Globally Empowered. GloballyEmpowered.com is my consulting website. We're also on Psychology Today.
Yeah, not
People-
hard to track us
Yeah,
down.
not hard to track us down at all.
All right. Well, thank you both.
Thanks,
you.
Natalie.